Alright, so on this particular site, you are just going through this tutorial, and notice how right here you've got these links right here where it says now apply the following layers to this shape, and it says gradient overlay, and if you click on it, it will bring up this screen right here, which will tell you exactly what to put into the gradient overlay. It doesn't tell you the exact colors on this gradient, but you can get something that's just similar. Okay, so that's how these work. You've got these right here, and I would almost suggest, like what I did was I pulled all these up. So for instance, I pulled this one up and then I used my phone and I took a picture of it. And it just makes it a lot easier so you're not going back and forth. It's easy just to take a picture of it and go to all of these and just take pictures of them so you're not going back and forth. It's just going to be easier for you. Okay, so this, you're just going to follow down through this spot right here where it has this, it shows the elliptical marquee tool and how it goes right into here. This is the spot where they don't tell you how to do it correctly, but I will show you how to do it correctly. Another thing, on the stroke one right here, I'm just going to tell you in advance, where it says 5 pixels, this is a misprint also. It should say 25 pixels. So just keep that in mind when you're doing it, and I'll show you when we get there also. Okay, so back to this, and I've got my Photoshop document. Alright, so this is what I was working on before. So I'm going to go File and then New. And my width and height, I'm just going to make 10 by 10. I want my resolution to be at least 300, and I want this to be a transparent background. And then I'm going to hit OK. And I want to first go into my ellipse tool, which is in the shapes, all of the shapes here. You want to go make sure it's on the ellipse tool. And I want no stroke on this. So first thing you want to do is change this to no stroke. And your fill color is fine as black. You want to hold the shift key down so that it makes a perfect circle. You want to make it about this big. Something like that. Alright, we're going to move this to the middle right there. Alright, so the first thing that it says to do on this tutorial is to put on a gradient overlay. So I go Layer, Layer Style, and then Gradient Overlay. Now I get this right here. That was our that first one that I showed you. So since I already took a picture, this is my phone, I'm just going to look at it. It says this needs to be normal. The gradient needs to be, actually I'm going to show you this again. Everybody take a look up here. And see right here where it has the small little gradient? So if you just click on this, then you can change the color of the gradient. Then I can double click right here on this little square. And that will allow me to change the color of the gradient. I want sort of a darker.
Wait, are you in blending layer style? What? Are you after layer style?
Gradient overlay.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you said to no stroke?
In the top left corner. Okay, so then this is about where I want it for the colors. Then I want not a linear. I don't believe it's a linear. What was it? It was no, this one is a linear gradient. Okay, so it should, and then the scale should be 44. Alright, so that's what the parameters say to do in the tutorial. So I hit OK on that one. Okay, the next thing that I need to do is on this one, it looks like an inner bevel. So I'm going to go to, again to layer, layer style, and bevel and emboss. And it's already on inner bevel. It says smooth, a depth of 215, and size of 1, and size of 1, or a soften of 1. It looks like 120 and 30. Okay, we got that. Highlight modes should be normal. And it should be dark gray. Does it give you the... It doesn't give you that. Okay, it's alright. Just something sort of dark gray. And then down here it should be black. Oh, and this needs to be 26%. Everything that I'm doing is all on that tutorial. And this should be multiply and 13%. And then I hit OK. Alright, that's step 1. So again, when I'm looking at this tutorial, all I did was go to this right here, and then I followed these steps of what the gradient overlay and the bevel emboss said to do. Alright, now I'm on to this next part right here. Select your circle shape tool again and draw another perfect circle. Alright, so we're going to go do that. So now I'm going to make a new layer. And in this layer, I'm going to go to my ellipse tool again. I'm going to make this bigger than I need to. And the reason is so that I can match it with this one. I want it to be right smack in the middle. So I put it right there and I can see easier that it's right in the middle. Then I'm going to go after the fact and just Command T it to resize it. And once it's in the middle, then what you can do is hold down Shift and then Option, and that will resize it in the exact space. So you want it to be about, I think that thing was about like that. Maybe a little bigger, about like that. Okay. So that is the black circle inside this one. I hit return, and now I go to my next parameters. So with this one, there's 3 different layer adjustments. So layer, layer style, and this one is gradient overlay again. And it gives you the exact colors to use. So I'm going to use the colors that they have and see how it looks, and then I might decide to fix them. So I go to my gradient colors, I click on it, and right here it says to do, I double click on this right here, and down here it's just all zeros, and it says that their colors are FFFF. So I go to my, which should be, how many Fs? 6. How many do I have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, so that's just a white. Alright, and now it says that they added another one right here. So I can just click right here, click to add stop. You see that it says that. I just click right there and I end up with another color stop. So I click there, double click it actually. And under this one it says to do AAFE 35. Alright, hit OK. And then on this one over here, I double click. And this one, it says 29 A027. Alright. And so the colors we have are good. This right here says linear. It says to do a radial gradient. So we're going to make that radial, which means that it starts from the middle and goes out. Alright, the angle 90 degrees, scale 116. So we're going to bump this up to 116. So I don't really like this little white thing in the middle. So I'm going to change that. In fact, I am going to just, I think what I'm going to do is first I'm going to copy this one. And you don't have to do this. It's personal preference at this point. Command C, I copied it. I'm going to go over to this one, and I'm going to paste that. Okay, so that's the same color that this one is. So I might lighten it up just ever so slightly over here. We'll see what it does. So if I go way over to here, you get the white thing. If I go over to here, just barely get something that's a little bit brighter. Alright, so maybe I'll just leave it at that. Alright, so I hit OK. And we're all good on that one. So we've got our gradient. Okay, the next thing it says to do is to add an inner shadow. So I go up to Layer, Layer Style, Inner Shadow. So for the inner shadow, it says Soft Light. So I changed Multiply to Soft Light. Opacity 100. The angle should be 120. Distance 0. Choke 44. Size 16. 0 on this thing. Okay. So that's this inner thing right here. Alright, so I hit OK for that one. Alright, now the next one looks like we need to put a stroke in here. So image, layer, layer style, and then stroke. Alright, so this one says size at 5 pixels, but this is the one where you want to put it 25. Position outside, blend mode normal, opacity 100%, fill type gradient, and the colors for these it gives you, so I double click on here, and E2, 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 E2. Alright, and now for this one I double click, and I want B, 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 B. B. How many B's? 6 B's. Okay. Alright. So that gives me this nice little inner bevel thing in there. And angle 90, it says. And scale 123%. And that's about it. Okay. All right. So back to our tutorial here. So we're now at this point right here. What we've done so far is we've gone through and done this and this and this, and we've used these links here to know exactly what to put in them. Now we get to this spot right here. This is the spot in the tutorial where they're wrong. So I'm going to show you how to do it correctly. This part right here is correct, but this part is wrong. All right. So we're going to go to here. I'm going to go to my elliptical marquee tool, which is right here. I'm going to I'm going to make a new layer, first of all. I don't know if that's, actually I'm jumping the gun on that. I don't know if I need to do that yet, but all right. So I am going to put an ellipse right there. So what I want to do is I just want the area in the green. So what I do now, actually I do want to go back to this layer. I want to go to my paths, and if you don't see paths, then you can go up to window and then paths, and then it will show up. And then if you go, so layers, you're in this layer. This is the layer with the green circle. Once paths is up, you go click here to where it says paths. Now I'm going to control click on this layer, and it says make selection. So I believe that's what I have written up here. selection, then intersect with selection. Okay. So we did make selection. And then down here, intersect with selection. So that's how you do that. I'm going to do that again, just so you can see it again. All right, so we made our ellipse. We're in this layer. We go to paths. We control, click, make selection, intersect with selection. Okay. See, then that makes this right here. So we want to fill this with white. So I go to edit, and hold on one second. So I'm in this layer. Edit, it's not letting me fill. Why would that be? I think it has to be rasterized first. So if it does that, you can always, I always just go to my eraser tool and then bring it over, and if you get the circle with the line through it, then just click once and it says the shape must be rasterized. Just hit OK. Now I should be able to go back and in this one and go edit and then fill. And remember, this is what you did before, where it used to be the content aware when we were doing the new to on the old to new assignment. But in this case, we want it to fill white. And it did not show that. Oh, you know what? I think I need to do this in this other layer. So I'm going to go back a step. I'm going to go up to this layer. And I'm going to go edit, fill, and then white. Okay. So I just needed to do that in my new layer. Now that it's white, now I want to look back at this. And I say, okay. It says to make this to soft light. Set the layer to soft light, and set opacity to 80%. Okay, so the way you do that is I'm on this layer, and right up here where it says normal, you just go to there and go soft light, and then my opacity I'm pulling down to 80%, just like that. Okay, and now I can just hit Command D, and that will get rid of the selection. Okay, the next thing is it says you can add a hue and saturation layer above all the other layers to adjust the color of this orb. To add hue and saturation layer, click on this icon at the bottom of the layers palette. So it's the one with the circle with the two different colors in it. Okay, so with this, we're going to make a new layer. I'm going to click on this button, and it says hue saturation. And what this does is it allows me to change the color of this. So now when I go up here and I move this over, it changes, you can see, the color of my button. And so I can make it a bunch of different colors. And I don't care what color you use. If you go back to 0, it'll be this green color. All right, the last thing that I'm going to have you do, which is not on the tutorial, is create a new layer. I would like you to put either text or some kind of a picture that's all white. So for instance, I'm going to take my text tool, I'm going to put it here, and I'm just going to write NH. So I wrote NH, and it needs to be in, I'm going to make this a little bigger, so let's make this 180. Okay. You don't have to write NH. You can write whatever you want to write. All right, so this, though, needs to be in white. It's very important that whatever you put in here is white. So I go up to here to my text color. I make it white. I hit OK, and then done. Now, the last step in this is that you're going to go to Image, and then, layer, and then Layer Style, and then inner shadow. So when I take this inner shadow, you notice that it makes it look like it's embedded in there. So if you were somebody who was creating this glossy button for something that was like online or social media or whatever, and you wanted to put a some kind of a logo or anything in here, you want to make it look like it's embedded in here. So you're going to just mess with this kind of stuff. The choke, you can see that it changes things a little bit. The size is probably the most important one in here. You're going to change that to make it have like a bit of a shadow and have some depth. So I'm going to do something like that. The distance, maybe something like that. This font isn't exactly great for this particular thing, but you get the point. All right, so it's going to look something like that. And then you just hit OK. And
Wait, can we write whatever we want in there?
yeah, so you can write whatever you want in there. So you can put a logo in there. You can put letters in there. And just make sure that they are white. Because if they are dark, then this doesn't work. And so those are all the steps. And again, they're all on that tutorial except for this. And the stuff that is incorrect on their thing with the elliptical marquee is written right up there. And I'll have it on this video. Okay, I think that's everything.